Welcome back to Lipany for another casted game. On the north side, this time in the green, we have Fitzbro as the English, and on the south or the west side in the purple, we have Papercut as the Chinese. Both of these guys, big streamers. I'm going to put all their details in the description, so if you like watching Age of Empires content, you can definitely check these guys out. Now, let's take a little look at the scouting path while we talk about the matchup. Now, Fitzbro is as the English, and I've been watching some of his streams recently, and he's been doing random civilizations, so it's really interesting that he's basically trying out all of the different civs. Also, Papercut I know is a Japanese main, so it's interesting to see how he goes for the Chinese in this case, but it looks like Papercut is doing exactly what I would normally expect and being very, very aggressive with his scouting, but now Fitzbro is going to be able to cut him off a little bit and deny some of the sheep that are in the center. So whether they're going to be able to pull this off and who's going to come out sheep heavy. Obviously, Fitzbro as the English, he's not that fussed about sheep. It's obviously good, but he definitely wants to get as much as he can to deny it from the Chinese, but if he doesn't, then, you know, it's not the end of the world. He's got cheap farms, he's living his best life, whereas for Papercut, he definitely wants to get as much food as he possibly can so he can go for his Song Dynasty or whatever it is that he decides to do. Now, the landmarks in this case, I think, are going to be very interesting of what we see from both players. I would say at the moment, the meta for the English is definitely the Abbey of Kings, because, you know, the Council Hall's good, but it just gives you slightly faster longbows, which eventually will fall off quite heavily. Whereas actually, if you get the Abbey of Kings, you get sort of healing in your base, you get that free knight that you can use for a little bit of aggression and stuff like that. I think it opens up much more interesting play for the English. I'd love to see these sheep move slightly closer to the TC, especially as these guys are, you know, tickling that Conqueror level. It's I love to see that sort of stuff. Whereas if we think about the Chinese, then I imagine we're going to be seeing Song Dynasty, so for that faster villager production. Whether we see 2 TC, it depends if Fitzbro goes very aggressive. Obviously, the Song Dynasty also opens up the Chuganu, which he won't have access to before that because he's not playing Zhu Shi. But as I said it, there we go. We're not doing Abbey of Kings. We're going for the Council Hall. So it looks like Fitzbro is going to try and push China before that eco really starts getting pumping, because I think the Chinese definitely takes a little bit longer to get going than other civilizations. So we should be seeing the first landmark going down, whether it's a defensive Barbican as the Council Hall is going up, or the Imperial Academy, which I think is what is a very good choice here. Like this position, it does mean, I don't think we'll see the aura just yet, but it means he's going to be able to get all of his eco buildings in there as well and get a load of production around it. So very nicely done. And with him only getting one villager on it, building that one up, it does make me think he's going to be going for that quick Song Dynasty. So that's why you often see players, they won't rush this up because they want to be gathering the resources for the Barbican. Where the Barbican goes could be quite an interesting point, because looking at the cliffs, this whole side over here, there's a really weird mountain that's spawned up here, so actually, and this wood line, so actually here, a little wall here would basically block off this whole north side, so like literally a couple of short walls. So the Barbican potentially could just go in the base to defend, could chuck it on some of the resources, but maybe even a super forward one here, a bit too aggressive probably. But over on this side, there's also cliffs that have sort of spawned in Papercut's favor as well, because there's also a wood line connecting to these ones, so another couple of short walls, literally a few little ones, and he could basically secure up all of these berries and the deer. He's got nice safe back gold and some more berries over there. He's got another one over here. I really like that, and it looks like he's going for quite a forward position defending up these berries and the stone. Whether that means we're going for a 2 TC, we'll have to wait and see. But Fitzbro is already starting to pump out those longbows. He's got one that's chilling out, just hiding behind this barracks, and I imagine we're going to be seeing some spears as well, going for a big push. Now, not running straight over, I guess with the Barbican, he's going to have to be a little bit careful of those defenses. Whether we're going to see a barracks for a ram drop, we'll have to wait and see. But that Song Dynasty is almost through for Papercut, and if we take a little look at his split, he's getting quite a few on wood, so it looks like we're going to be seeing some production to retaliate against those longbows. I would be very, very surprised if we see Chuganu now. With a longbow mass, you don't often really want to go for Chuganu because they can just easily get out-kited. Obviously, there's only a small number of these now, but they have longer range, so they can quite easily kite and do quite a lot of damage to you. So that's something to be careful of. But the scout is coming over, and is he going to spot it just as Fitzbro is moving out onto these deer? Is he going to see the mill drop? No, he's seen the deer shifting around, so you can also see that in the fog of war as well, but not noticing that Fitzbro's being quite greedy and going out onto this deer early, so that's really going to boost his food income. Whereas it looks like, there we go, it looks like Papercut is trying to play it a little bit more defensively. Very strange wall here. I'm not sure that's exactly where I'd be putting it, especially when you've got the same amount of wood. You could basically just do it there or down here, but you know, it's when you're playing the game, it's very different to when you have the god vision like this. So you know, I'm definitely not at the level of these guys, so I probably have done a much worse wall myself. But Stables has gone down, so obviously going for the longbow counter there, and he does have some Imperial officials, so could supervise that, but it doesn't quite have the food just yet. The longbow numbers are starting to grow for Fitzbro now, and he's trying to find a little bit of damage. Obviously, with that Barbican being at the front, this is protecting his secondary resources, but his main base at the moment is fairly exposed, including all of these sheep villagers. Oh dear. So the TC getting one of them, focusing on the scout and the longbow, so not quite taking one of those units out just yet. But this is the problem with the Chinese, because they want to go use the mill because it gives them those additional taxes. It does mean that they're slightly further out of the protective range of the TC, which the longbows can already get into. But I really like this shift over here with the Imperial official for the wood villagers that Papercut's done. A little short wall over here which they can build very quickly, and that's going to mean that he's got a really nice safe wood line for the time being, at least. So Fitzbro's still trying to come in and do some damage, and he's adding in a load of spears which are shooting across and working on some of the the wolves on the map as well. And yeah, so both players looking at setting up their plan of attack. Fitzbro going for the main infantry comp, and Papercut trying to mass up with his horsemen. Not going for the attack just yet, but he's also, there we go, I like this, shifting his economy over to another mill on the back, so it's a bit easier to defend. I'd love to see an Imperial official just helping to supervise this to get some of those units out, but he has got them doing other work. Spears, look at that damage. That horse has just absolutely melted to literally one poke from these little green boys, and this is where you've got to be really careful. So a tower going up to defend the wood line, so I quite like this, especially because the Chinese can get those better arrow slits, the hand cannon slits, which is pretty nice, but these longbows are going to have to be really careful. There's only one spear, so if Papercut can micro it correctly, he might be able to get a little bit of damage. But doing this at the moment where Fitzbro's putting the pressure on has allowed him to go out and get the deer. And if we take a look from his side, he should have oh, he doesn't have survival techniques. Interesting. So he's got wheelbarrow, which I think is definitely a good choice, but if you're on the deer, you definitely want to be getting those survival techniques for that increased income. So more of these archers, they're all massing up around the bottom of the base, and it has allowed Papercut to then sneak out and try and get some reinforcements, but Fitzbro knows what's going on, and he's got lots of pointy boys waiting, and oh no, they just got pulled in by the aggro of the spears. Oh, that's one horse down, and with the numbers that Papercut's getting out at the moment, he's going to have to be really careful to keep them alive, because these 22 military units for Fitzbro are looking really scary. And he doesn't have a scout, so he doesn't actually know what's going on. He's got vision here, but apart from that, he's pretty stuck. The scout, although it looks like Fitzbro probably won't have his scout for much longer if it carries on running around there. So yeah, there's a lot of sheep over here which he's had to move off of, which is a lot of food that he can't quite gather up yet. So if he can defend up this point, he would be good, but Fitzbro's leaving a little archer there to warn him if anyone comes over, which I really like. Also trying to burn down the wall on the top side, because if he can deny these wood lines, then Papercut's going to be in a really sticky situation, and more units coming across. Fitzbro's not thinking about a castle shift, he's just getting masses and masses. We've got siege engineering coming in, so going straight for that rather than any of the damage upgrades. We can see his blacksmith over here, and he's living his best life. Nice safe wood line, not being harassed at all, and Greedy, greedy, greedy. I love it. Fitzbro, nice work. This is the greediest wall I think I've ever seen. It's really good. It's obviously going to stop Paper Cut going anywhere. I'm not sure whether it actually adds much value particularly, but you know, it's kind of fun. And Fitzbro has actually denied that wall just at the front line. I definitely would have burned down that section just to get some damage, but he's trying to get these horses on the back line as Paper Cut is massing up. So this now, I think for Fitzbro, he is on a bit of a timer. The longer he leaves this, well, the longer he goes for this and lets the Chinese economy build up, the more danger he's going to be in. Even with the villages he's taken out, he's still on equal footing, and Paper Cut has the supervision, so that is giving him a lot of extra gold and resources as well. So I definitely think he's going to have to make sure he does some damage pretty soon, otherwise this is going to be a pretty dangerous spot for him as the English, because their eco isn't the best really. They don't really have any buffs. They get cheaper farms, but Fitzbro's doing the right thing and not really going into farms. We can see he's out on the deer at the front, and then he'll probably move around to the deer and the boar that's in a really nice spot for him over here. But it's apart from that, he's not really got a huge amount going for him. He's obviously got lots of these shooty boys and the pointy boys, so that's really his buff at this stage. But if he can keep denying these resources, keep denying the wood line, the food and the gold, that's going to be good for him. And a nice little tower going up to extend that network. So there we go. But horses coming in, is Fitzbro going to notice? Are the rams going to get taken out? Oh, and he has done the spear garrison in there, trying a bit of a clown car, but they are getting caught out by those archers. That's definitely, and there's a couple of Chuganu mixed in there for good measure, but Paper Cut still doesn't have the horseman numbers to deal with this, and once they get that mass, 24 longbows can do a huge amount of damage. So while we're here, let's do a little bit of quick terrible maths. So each longbow does 6, so 24 does 130 something, so let's say over 120. If we take a look at horsemen, basically they can one-shot horsemen, so really if he's got these 4, if they're not at full health, it only takes 4 shots to basically wipe out all of his cavalry, which is really not so good. Obviously the counter to this, as everyone will say, is cut off their reinforcements. When they're obviously hammering your base, that's not always so easy to do, but it looks like that's what Paper Cut's thinking about doing by moving his horses up here. But because the reinforcements are also coming with spears, it's quite difficult for him to cut those off effectively. It looks like the wall has gone up on that top side, so then Paper Cut is going to be a bit trapped. If he pushes into the base, he's not going to be able to rotate onto a higher point of the map, which I think is a very nice move. And he's also walling him in on the bottom as well, so he really doesn't want him to escape. He's also walling in this side just in case there's a gap. He's doing the full surround, and yeah, you often see this with Delhi players because their infantry can can make walls. I've never seen an English player wall in their opponent, but he has snuck out, and oh, that's a really nice little pickup there. Gold is idle, 1 villager down, and the horsemen are now putting a little bit of pressure on Fitzbro's side of the map. So, but this does tell Fitzbro that his units are out of base, and so what's he got to contest these rams? There's 1 horseman there and a big archer mass with some Chuganu and some archers, but I definitely think they need to be focusing on the longbows and not the rams, because they're going to lose that number. The horsemen are really poking around quickly here, jumping into the base, trying to take out some longbows, but they're really low health, and Paper Cut's going to have to be careful to keep them alive. There's 2 rams now, one of those has got taken out, and we can see that the mass of archers is starting to build up a little bit more. These numbers are starting to look a little bit more friendly for Paper Cut, but he's also moved out over to the deer and the wood over here. Oh, he's not on the deer, he's just on the wood, but he's got the supervision, so his wood income is really nice, and he's trying to print out as many archer units as he can. So that's where he's going to be able to do that DPS, but we can see the cheeky clown car going on. 10 spears are obviously inside there, waiting for horsemen or villagers to pop out. So this is where if Paper Cut jumps out here and tries to burn it, if Fitzbro's fast enough, he should be able to jump out and do a lot of damage. So Paper Cut's going to have to be really careful of that. But with that TC, with that cannon in placement, it is still able to do a lot of damage to these rams, and this is a lot of investment for Fitzbro that at the moment hasn't done a huge amount. It's taken out 1 stables and a couple of walls. So this is where rams are good, but you've got to use them because it's 250 wood, and that's a lot of resources to 200 wood, sorry, but that's a lot of resources. Here we got 1,000 wood, and he's already lost what, 3 of them, so that's a lot of resources that Paper Cut is actually able to use to get his mass up. And now these numbers are starting to go in his favor because we can see look at all of these archery ranges. How many does he actually have? Is it 6? 6 archery ranges producing archers, and Fitzbro's on the 1 council hall. He hasn't added any more production, he doesn't have the resources for it, and he is also building a little defensive wall there to stop some of the raids, but he's moving out onto the other resources as well. He did move down to this deer, which I thought he would over here. Also, he's got a nice safe boar, so his food income is going to be nice and steady for the time being. Let's take a little look over here at the Rampocalypse that we've got going on. We've got 7 rams, the 7th one just being built up and more archers coming across, but now this is where Papercut looks like he's managed to defend, and the Chinese eco is going to do it. Not sure what this guy's doing, whether he's trying to pull them in for a fight, I'm not quite sure. Also, I don't know what units are in here. I'm thinking it must be some spears. So we got 14 spears here and we got 5 in there, so I imagine it's going to be spears. Fitzbro doesn't have 5 idols, so I don't think it's villagers at this stage, but he has managed to close off most of the walls, and this one is just about to finish off. But this is a really nice defense from Papercut, so you will see this from higher players, and this is something that I've tried to mimic myself. Is a lot of players will see this mass and they'll be like, right, I've got to hit them, I've got to do damage, but actually sitting here, biding your time and building up your own mass, getting your military tech, so we can see here that we've got the +1 ranged defense and the +1 ranged attack. That's just going to help your cause. We've got Chuganu, we've got archers, and we're slowly building up horsemen as well. So now the numbers have actually shifted in Papercut's favour, and he's not taken a huge amount of damage because Fitzbro doesn't want to push in completely, because if he loses all of these units, then basically he's just going to get swarmed. So it now looks like it's a bit of a mass off. Fitzbro's trying to spend every resource he has on rams, apparently. So we're going to watch the ram ranch coming in as the villager tries to heal them as they run in. And yeah, this is one way to play it against the Chinese with their faster build speed and repair speed. Just build an absolute ton of rams. I guess that's one way to do it. So, but now look at these archer numbers. The longbows aren't able to keep up. The TC's also firing on them. And let's shift over here. Another tower going up. The longbows do have that increased attack speed because of the network they've got. You can see from the little glowing campfire, but the numbers for Papercut, and he's kiting towards the longbows. This is really nice work from him, making sure he stays in range. So Fitzbro retreats, he's still going to get a couple of shots off. TC has gone down, so he has lost that for the time being, but Fitzbro's army is absolutely melting, and those rams are taking a huge amount of damage. He's not got the APM to pull those spears out, so the spears are going to pop out when the ram goes down, and there we go. Papercut shifting away before those rams can actually pull out the spears and take out all the horsemen. Horsemen now going to clean up all of those, shifting over the archers to take out the spears as well. So now the villager pull has come to get rid of those rams, but all the archers are absolutely slamming those spears, and the horsemen are finishing off all of the reinforcements on the back line. If we take a look now, it's from equal numbers down to 50 versus 10 for the military. This is a massive pull. Papercut's villagers torching these rams down like no one's a business, and he's lost a couple of landmarks, but really that doesn't matter so much when your economy is still alive, and somehow he's almost in castle age as well, even with all of this going on. So now this is where he's really got to push his advantage. Getting in, he's going to take out the last of these. Oh, there's spears and archers in there, of course, why not? So that's now a third of Fitzbro's army is being taken out, and these guys need to just push straight into the English base to do damage before Fitzbro can remass, because this army is very, very scary, and it's now going to leave Papercut with the choice. Does he go for a castle age? Does he just stay in feudal and just do a big push? He's now got the initiative if he can take advantage of it. So Fitzbro retreating with the few units he has and trying to build up his mass over here, but with these big horseman masses and the archers, I think the longbow numbers are going to be a little bit more tricky to build up for him. He's still got his rally point across the map as well, so the reinforcements, neither player A moving, so they're both just running through each other. There we go. Papercut has noticed. And here we go. So we can also see that he's got most of his eco techs as well, so his eco is going to be pumping. If we take a little shift over to the income per minute, it's fairly even at this stage. Fitzbo's very, very heavy on food, which actually means he's not really able to convert it into units as easily, whereas because of the balance over here, it does mean Papercut is able to produce more, but there are no more units in queue, and we can see the villagers have been caught out on the deer, so now that food income is going to absolutely plummet and the villager numbers are going down as the Song dynasty is starting to pay off for Paper Cut as well, that he's now got 60 plus, whereas Fitzbro's only on 50. He's now, there we go, on the base trying to take out that production so Fitzbro can't remass, and he's only got a third of the units. He's trying to stay safe and stay out of the way, but with the horsemen raiding, he's in a little bit of bother. So now we can see some more units in queue. It looks like Paper Cut's changed his mind and he's just going to be going full feudal, and even with the one landmark down, the TC's clearly being repaired on the backside, and the Imperial Academy has also gone back up as well. So it looks like all of those landmarks are back in the game, and both players running past each other. So it looks like Fitzbro's going for a Hail Mary base dive to see if he can do enough damage while all of these archers are burning down all of his buildings. So Chugonoan archers don't do a huge amount against buildings, but they clearly do enough. So there we go, and trying to garrison them in the tower to keep them alive and do some extra damage. Also trying to house Fitzbro, but he does have 160 houses versus 87, so I think he's going to be fine for a little while. We can see, if we quickly shift over here, we can see Fitzbro's units trying to come in and dive, but we do have the reinforcements on the back line as, there we go, as Paper Cut dives into the eco and idles up all of those farms that Fitzbro placed down. So now his economy is going to be idle, and a lot of damage done to his villagers. It's going to be 20 plus villagers taken out on that side, and Fitzbro has just been pushed back off of that push on the front line and heading back to his base to try and defend. But I think the overextension with his units here definitely wanted to be fighting under his TC to try and take these guys out, and it looks like now the economy is massively shifting against him. He's got no resources coming in, he's got very few units, and they're very far away, so all of his eco is just running around scared, trying to avoid this massive Chinese archer mass. They're circling around, they know the villagers are here somewhere, and they're playing cat and mouse to try and find them, and Fitzbro trying his best to circle them to a safe side of this wood line. I imagine they're just going to keep running around in circles here to keep alive, but there we go, and the armies are going to meet. They're back in the center, and looking at these numbers, I think the Chinese archers have got a very good advantage on this one, but the spears have taken out those horsemen, so now a lot of melee units are going to be coming in against Paper Cut. So whether he can pull in his reinforcements that he has in his base to take out these last units, or it's going to keep going from here, but the archers are kiting nicely. Horsemen trying to come in, but going against the men-at-arms that have been added in just for a little bit of a tanky front line, but they are getting taken out relatively easy by this archer mass, and Paper Cut doing a nice little job there of kiting to make sure he's in good range. So those longbows not quite doing the damage they need to do, and the reinforcements are starting to feed in and do more damage as well. So these units, if we take a little look at the overall, still 44 versus 20. There's even more units, the horsemen going into the wood line and the archers trying to take out those longbows on the back, and that one lonely men-at-arms that's doing his absolute best to try and take out these Chinese units invading his land. But the horses are doing massive devastation to the English wood line. 28 villagers down so far, and almost half of the eco that Paper Cut's got with his Chinese economy, and this is not looking very, very good for Fitzbro and the English. A huge amount of wood, but nothing to turn it into. He can build more production, but he needs more food and gold, and I'm not sure stone, but he's getting some stone anyway. And Paper Cut not diving too heavily. I think at this point he really just needs to finish the job and put the final nail in the coffin. He's got a lot of these horsemen, and he definitely doesn't want to allow Fitzbro the chance to age up or remass, because that's where it could be very dangerous. Fitzbro going for a TC on the backline to try and get the eco. I think definitely a Castle Age could have been a good play here to try and get some of that technology advantage, but are we going to see Ram Ranch number 2 from Paper Cut? It doesn't look like it, and if we take a little look over at his blacksmith, we do have siege engineering, so we are going to see some rams, because of course it's all about the rams, baby. So let's take a little look over. So Fitzbro is massing up, he's making longbows, he's trying to balance out his economy, he's sneaking some villagers out over here onto another safe wood line to try and get away from that, but he's going to have to be really careful, because Paper Cut will keep coming and checking the deer and the boar over here, because he knows that he needs the food. But with all these safe farms now, his food economy is going to definitely be a lot better than it was. On the other side, Paper Cut is spending all of his resources making loads and loads of units and just focusing on those archers, which are definitely going to be doing the job. And now he's moved out onto the deer and the other resources. Big farm transition also coming in for him with the granaries with that nice little bonus. Not sure I'd have put them right up against the cliff because you do lose quite a lot of area there, but that's going to really mean his food income is pumping. Rams coming in to try and do that, and this is where, is Fitzbro going to fall for it? Is he going to dive on these rams straight away, or is he going to allow his houses to go? Horseman trying to do a little bit of a circle around, trying to get some of these villagers he knows are around here. And if he can force the units away, then his archers can also dive in as well. So he's trying to find the damage. He doesn't have a scout with these guys, so he doesn't have a huge amount of vision. We can see he can't actually see any of the units just yet. So it's going to be seeing whether he can actually find that damage. Here we go. The horses are ready to dive. Fitzbro's going in for it. He's moving towards them, and also, there are a couple of horsemen on the backside. The villagers just going to get their shanks out as the English troops are being pulled out by the horses, being dragged away from the base, which is potentially what Papercut's trying to do, pulling them away so that he can then take out those guys. All of those melee units being really hammered by the horses, and there are no spears, so the men-at-arms are going to only be able to tank for so long, while the rams on the other side are taking out all of the production. Papercut doing a really good job here of focusing on the production buildings to make sure the reinforcements can't come in, and the horsemen have pulled away back into the fight. Double the units at the moment, still going for villagers because the more he can hit those, the weaker the economy. And Fitzbro looks like he's coming in to get the rams. I don't know whether this is a bit early. He needs to mass up a little bit more to try and take this fight, but it looks like the fight's going to be forced, and Papercut's got the initiative. Those production buildings are going down. Putting them at the front I definitely think is the wrong move here from Fitzbro. He wants to put them somewhere safe that's a little bit harder to take out with rams like this. Council Hall being taken out, the roof crumbling away as the longbows and the English forces are trying to put a stop to that, but all of his DPS going into the rams at the moment, and the archers are just targeting all of those guys. Now just running under the English TC. They don't care. They're living their best life, and they are absolutely shredding these longbows. And the longer this goes on, the more production that's going to be taken out, and the harder it is for Fitzbro to defend. Whether he's going to add some more production in somewhere else to try and pull this back, but the council hall's burning, and this might be the end of his English dream. We're trying to take out those rams with a couple of horsemen, but all of that DPS is just going straight into the ram, which is actually great value for Papercut. And now horsemen trying to get on top of the archers, the TC machine gunning them down like no one's business. But now I think this is where there is no more production for Fitzbro, only a couple of stables, and that these guys aren't going to make it out. Maybe one horseman from here, and that's about it. So he has defended it, but at what cost? And he's only got the 2 landmarks. Unlike the Chinese, they had a lot more landmarks, so he was able to allow those to be taken out very easily. On this side, if this production goes down and he gets the tower, the TC, then it's going to be GG for him, as he's placing the astronomic clock tower in the back of this as well. While he's destroying the production on the English side, he's also going for a castle age with double the villagers at this stage. This is an absolute English massacre, and Papercut being quite reserved here. I think he definitely could have gone in for the big kill, but he's gone for the age up, and Fitzbro knows now that he's also going to be seeing castle age units coming very, very quickly. Those knights and palace guards, which everybody hates to see, but he's sticking in this, and I really love the fact that he's really going for this and figuring out a way of defending. So he's not out of the game just yet. He's got to figure out a way to get himself back into it. If we take a little look, we've got the astronomic clock tower. We might be seeing some nest of bees if we can get a few more resources. A huge amount of food at this moment because the full granary transition is in, and Fitzbro's pushing. He knows that those castle age units are coming, and he's got to do some damage, but I think this is a little bit early. He doesn't quite have the units to take it out, and those horsemen are going to gobble up those longbows for lunch. They are just going to take all of that bonus damage. There's a lancer, cheeky guy hidden around inside there, or a scout, whichever the model is. I can never tell the units apart. So here we go. It is a scout. He just has got armor on just so you can tell that he's different than the horseman, I guess. But these numbers, 62 military that are diving around the English base, still only one one production building. There's another one being dropped on the backside, but the horsemen are now just with their castle age upgrades are just going to dive onto that TC and idle up all of that English economy. And this is the main food income as well, so Fitzboro's going to have a really hard time dealing with this while he's under his TC. That TC is doing a lot of damage, but Papercut can afford to dive and try and take out these units. A nice little bit of longbow kiting on the backside for him, but both of these TCs now idle. And he is bridging the gap slightly, but this is getting more and more crazy in Papercut's favour. Some more production has gone down, but that's going to be idled out and potentially taken out as well. No more rams on the field, but I don't think we need any more of those at this stage. Never mind, what do I know? Apparently we do need more rams, because the solution to all problems is rams. Rams, rams, rams. So it's this is the desperate defense here from Fitzbro, and I think this is exactly what you should be doing, but he's being way too aggressive with these units, and he's losing too many of these little fights. If he'd have massed up all the units and gone in with 60-60, he might have had a chance. Even with the castle age ones, he could have done a lot of damage, but throwing away little numbers of these longbows is definitely going to be hurting his overall defense. He's very heavy on the wood. He's managed to sneak out in a couple of places, but the armored units are now rolling in under the TC. We got the lancers, we got the crossbows. Not sure why we've got we're not sure why we've got the crossbows coming in when we don't have any men-at-arms on the field and we've got knights, but you know, that's how Papercut wants to play it, and with the amount of food that he's got in the bank, he can basically just make whatever he wants at this stage. I'd love to see more units on the field, but he's almost at max pop already. He's almost at the total number you need of your villagers. About 120 is a really good number to be, and he's found the eco on the backside as well. Those lancers are going to absolutely shred all these villagers. They're doing their best with their short bows to defend. They're trying their best, and he's dropping the spirit way to get his next dynasty as well on the backside. So these villagers are really the English resilience, and Fitzbro calls it. What a really hardy defense from Fitzbro. He literally stayed there till the last second, but the Chinese economy just overwhelmed him.